Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. Today we commence a new series of the householder disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Girish, Chandra, Ghosh, the star of them all. For the simple reason is it echoes, resonates with us because of his bohemian, you can say, appetites. He finds a kind of a resonance also in that. Yeah, we have also done something. And it also shows Sri Ramakrishna's broadness, the spiritual depth, where he can accept everybody, saint and sinner. So we have a biographical introduction to his book by Christopher Isherwood. He had written some time back. So I'll read some parts, a couple of sentences from what his observation was, and then we'll go to his life. Girish was a person of great animal vitality, strength, ingenuity, force, drive, and indeed genius. A protein kind of talent. He was a poet, a dramatist, an actor, and he threw himself into everything with the utmost vitality. It was a function, an aspect of this vitality that he was also exceedingly sensual. He had a considerable sex life, which was much discussed by everyone around him. He drank enormously. He took opium, and so on and so forth. So this was one side. But the other side, on the positive side also, he was extremely truthful. He was extremely productive in whatever he undertook. Now, he was very sensitive because he was an artist in the sense of he was a poet and dramatist and an actor, a director, and he could play multiple roles, etc. And such people have that sense because no person can ever do a particular thing and not reflect later. Of course, there are people who keep on doing without any reflection. But we are talking about sensitive souls. So he wrote in an article his life and his state of mind before he even met Sri Ramakrishna. A lot of people, in order to kind of mask that spiritual crisis or spiritual hunger, they do something which is diametrically opposite. This, you can say, that pursue it. So that's why a modern poet says, and it's mentioned, a saint is easy to recognize. His constitution is designed for vice. Well, not in all cases, of course, but surely in the case of Girish Chandra Ghosh. So he writes, does God exist? Does he listen to the prayers? Does he show the way from darkness to light? My mind said, yes. Immediately, I closed my eyes and prayed, O God, if thou art, carry me across. Give me refuge. I have none. But I had nurtured doubt all these years. I had argued long, saying, there is no God. So again, I fell victim to doubt. But I had not the courage to say boldly, God does not exist. Yes, now when you're in the state of doubt, you won't be so firmly entrenched in your views that there is a reality or there is no reality. I don't know. It's called agnosticism. So, I don't know. So this was Girish Ghosh in a brief. One of his first introductions and meeting with Sri Ramakrishna was on December 14th, 1884. So Sri Ramakrishna had gone to the Star Theatre where he was holding a drama. And Sri Ramakrishna comes and he introduces himself. I am a sinner. Well, you see, he was very frank and truthful. And one thing he did not like was double-dealing hypocrisy. So Sri Ramakrishna said, the wretch who constantly harps on sin becomes a sinner. So there is also your inner being is kind of constantly thinking that, yeah, I'm a sinner. And this is one of the hallmarks of an incarnation. You see incarnations, they are not judgmental. You see in the life of the Buddha, you see in the life of Christ, you see in the life of Ramakrishna, and everybody is welcome. So, and this was what? Yes, Sri Ramakrishna was, and this is what he railed against. Sri Ramakrishna railed against. Think yourself as a child of immortality. Think of yourself as a child of God. Why do you think that you're a sinner? Then Sri Ramakrishna said, Girish replied, Sir, the very ground where I used to sit would become unholy. And this is, there are certain people, those vibrations they give itself will keep you away. There are certain people whom you're attracted to. There are certain people you would like to keep a distance. There's something about them that, and wherever they go, whatever they touch, that becomes, as they say, unholy. So Sri Ramakrishna says, how can you say that? Suppose a light is brought into a room that has been dark for 1,000 years. Does it illumine the room little by little or all in a flash? Now he's trying to dispel the ideas of I am a sinner, because deep down we are that immortal spirit. And he's trying to bring Girish Ghosh's, you can say, ideas about his own self as that which is pure and immortal and infinite. Not thinking about sin and sin and sin. And then Sri Ramakrishna he sings a song, and in the song he says, one attains the vision of God if Mahamaya steps aside from the door. Mahamaya's grace is necessary. Now in our Vespers hymn, Holy Mother is called Mahamaya, the great Maya. On one side, she is an enchantress. She deludes everybody with playthings, with things of the senses. And if she decides, okay, I'll give this person liberation. She'll step aside and see the reality. So she is, as Vedanta say, there is a veil that covers reality. That veil of ignorance is personalized in the form of a deity. In this case, it is the goddess. So these goddesses are called Mahamaya, the great Maya. She is the one who can liberate. She is the one who binds. Girish says, I still have that twist in my mind. Tell me what I should do. That crookedness, of course. Ramakrishna, give God your power of attorney. Let him do whatever he likes. Now this, as we will go through the episodes in his life, we will discuss this power of attorney in detail later on. So Girish Ghosh himself has said, I have drunk so much of liquor. He uses the word wine. It's translated as wine. That if you is saying, if one bottle of placed one over the other, it would be higher than Mount Everest. And that was his opinion of himself. Then Sri Ramakrishna had a different opinion. He asked one devotee, have you met, do you know Girish Ghosh? Oh, that playwright here. Yeah, I heard he drinks a lot. He was well known in the whole city. But Sri Ramakrishna says, well, he's a good man. And about drinking, he says, let him. How long will he continue that? And actually, gradually, Girish Ghosh, he gave up his long-standing drinking habit. And he says, whenever a sinful thought arises in my mind, I see the master standing there in front of me. It must appear. So that was, this you can see how divine grace was working through various channels. When he was drunk, like as you know, there's no control over anything. He's saying even prostitutes hesitated to open their doors to him when he was drunk. One time he said, we were in a euphoric mood, me and my friends, and we had gone to the brothels, and then suddenly I felt, let's go to Dakshineshwar and meet Sri Ramakrishna. So I think his friends hired a carriage and they drove to Dakshineshwar. And that incident is there. It comes in the middle of the night. And it's troublesome for everybody. And Sri Ramakrishna says, oh my God. Okay, all three guys were all nicely sozzled, nicely. And Sri Ramakrishna grasped both Girish's hands and began to dance. And this acceptance wasn't expected at all. He would have got shouted or something like that. Girish Ghosh says, here's a man whose love embraces all, even a wicked man like me, whose own family would condemn me in this state. Surely this holy man, respected by the righteous, is also the savior of the fallen. He later remarks, had I known that there was such a huge pit in which to throw one's sins, I would have committed some more. So you find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, various actors, they have come, they have played their part, and they have gone. And Girish Ghosh also has played an important role in Sri Ramakrishna's divine play. See, what happens is he was a genius. And we have even a friend of his who, who, who understood that his genius was just waiting to burst upon society. But I'll say he was also a drunkard, a debauchee, a breaker of rules and norms. This is his singular trait. He did not go according to conventional rules and norms of society. A kind of a maverick, they say. These are the guys who chalk their own paths out. So people are generally attracted towards the dark side. But he had the positive side. So he was, like I said, frank, very frank, fearless. He was loving and generous, sincere and honest, because he could not stomach any kind of hypocrisy. He was extremely outspoken, and he used to give people a dressing down there, wherever, not bothered about time or place or circumstance, nothing. If he saw any injustice or he saw any kind of hypocrisy, that guy got a tongue lashing. He was endowed with tremendous willpower. That is what, there are people who are kind of creative and genius, but their willpower is weak. Like willpower, we don't have any willpower. Just we go a few steps and we just give up. He wasn't that type. He will see the very end of that, whatever enterprise he picks up. He had physical strength. He was extremely strong. Intelligent, highly intelligent, and a compassionate heart. So you see, he was supremely confident of these qualities. Many of us are not aware of our own qualities and how much we are, or what is the strength of our qualities. We break easily. Suppose they're saying, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to eat that. And somebody is going to convince me, come on, let's go there, let's eat. And then I give in. Not Girish Ghosh. He said, once I'm not going there, he's not going there. Even wild, 20 horses drag him, he's not going to. And moreover, he had a tremendous faith. In Sri Ramakrishna's words, he had 125% faith. In Sri Ramakrishna, percent is 100 only. He was, as I say, a prolific writer, a poet, an actor, a dramatist, all these things. In fact, he had 2 scribes writing down plays. So he used to dictate. He used to go into a kind of meditative state and dictate an entire drama. And sometimes when he fresh ideas weren't coming, he used to keep another scribe. He used to switch to another drama and dictate that. And then again switch back here. So he had the power of dictating 2 dramas at one time. He was a storyteller, actor, director, and then he became the father, the patron, as they say, of the Bengali stage, Bengali drama. Even today, he is honored as one of the person who revived drama in Bengal. And even today, of course, obviously, every actor and actress, whether now you have this celluloid film and digital and movies and all, they all salute Sri Ramakrishna, and then they go out and enact their or play the role. So Sri Ramakrishna is now called a patron saint of the Bengali stage. So much for Sri. So we have Vivekananda and all the other disciples. They brought Vedanta and spread it all over the world. We have M, the recorder of this gospel, who in his own way recorded Sri Ramakrishna's conversations, and that has become those immortal words of Sri Ramakrishna. You could get them. And after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, for 50 years, M could speak about Sri Ramakrishna to devotees. Girish Ghosh also had a role in the divine play of Sri Ramakrishna. He brought Sri Ramakrishna out in the world of music, of art, etc. But he brought Sri Ramakrishna to the, you can say, outcast. In those days, no respectable person would get into the stage work or dramas or become actors and actresses. And so, prostitutes were used as actresses. And they also would play the role of actor, dress up, of course, with the makeup and all. So that was considered on the fringes of society. Respectable people never went there. Why? Because all the actors, they are all kind of prostitutes and they are all gone cases. So he brought Sri Ramakrishna to all these kind of people. And he showed the saving power of Sri Ramakrishna. When Sri Ramakrishna used to go to watch these performances, and the actresses, they used to come and they salute him. He used to call them, "Oh, blissful mother." And he used to say, the representations are so accurate like the original. So he encouraged these people, and they all took refuge in Sri Ramakrishna. Here was a person who did not discriminate between a saint and a sinner. How much sins can you? However, he was also careful, Sri Ramakrishna. There was another devotee who tried to imitate Girish using abusive language. And Sri Ramakrishna sharply rebuked him. Don't. Girish's attitude is different. He is the original. Don't try to imitate. He could see Girish, what he was. So, he was also very brave. You are not a coward. And he's saying, Sri Ramakrishna said, true religion is to make your mind and your speech one. Because, we have something in our mind and we say something else. So, Girish Ghosh was a person who followed this advice of Sri Ramakrishna. Make your mind and your heart one. And that's why saying he could understand the true worth of Sri Ramakrishna. So Girish Chandra Ghosh. Girish means Ish, Lord of the mountains, Shiva. So he was born in North Calcutta, the place called Bagh Bazar. Later, Holy Mother also lived in that same locality. Today we have that part of that house where he lived is still there. But when they were extending that road, they had to demolish a huge portion of that house. And then there was a huge hue and cry also that you can't go and destroying the historical, you can say, places. So they kept a portion of it. So now it stands exactly in the middle of the road, obstructing traffic, as he was always. He hasn't forgotten his old habits. So there's a small statue, and just across the road is the house of Balram Bose, another great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna visited Balram Bose's house 100 times, and Girish was his neighbor. And Girish, he was feared as well as loved in the neighborhood. Feared because he could blurt out something improper, but not improper. He would blurt out the truth. He will catch you, as they say. And so his father was Neel Kamal and his mother was Raimani. He was the 8th child. The parents had 11 children. Oh my God. In those days, you have children, but some of them used to die very early. And so he was born in February 28th, 1844. He was the 8th child. And the 8th child is considered to be very auspicious because Sri Krishna was the 8th child of his parents. Krishna is the incarnation. So his uncle had predicted this child is going to bring glory to a dynasty. Yeah, his words came kind of glorious. So he's saying his father was an expert accountant and he was working for a British firm, and his mother was gentle and a great devotion for God. She loved to listen to spiritual talks. And whenever a traveling mendicant, Vaishnava, used to come singing, she used to feed him and say, "Sing your devotional songs, let us hear it." His father was very practical and also honest. So he inherited some of these practical traits and his devotional temperament from his mother and father. So Girish's mother, she was extremely devoted to the deity, and she was very spiritual. One time, she had saved a jackfruit. A jackfruit is a huge, you can say, fruit. It has to be the spiky, you can say, thick skin, and it has to be broken, and the fruit is very sweet if it is ripe, of course, inside. So she had saved a jackfruit for offering to her chosen deity. And then one of her children, probably Girish, because he was a mischief maker there, he ate part of it. And the idea is, if a part of the offered food is already been eaten, that cannot be offered. So she had kept it aside, and one night she had a vision of a beautiful young blue-colored boy. Krishna is that blue because when we see things from afar, it appears blue, like the sky. It appears blue. And the same sky which is here appears colorless. So that's the reason why some of the gods and goddesses are painted either black or blue. It doesn't mean that they are black. They are formless as well as they have a form. So that beautiful child comes in her dream, and he says, "Why haven't you offered that jackfruit to me? I love jackfruit." And saying, "Doesn't matter if it is defiled. I also dwell in your children. Tomorrow, offer that remaining piece of jackfruit to me." Now, this comes only when the degree of purity has far exceeded the needed ritual purity. The purity has become spontaneous, where God now does not look at whether this has been ritually offered or no. It is there. So, Sri Ramakrishna, when he used to worship there, he used to feed the cat also. There was a cat that used to come inside when he used to feed. And the other priest and the devotees were scandalized. What's he doing? He's supposed to offer that food to the deity. And later on he says, I found that a divine mother has appeared to me. She dwells in the cat as well. And so I fed her. So this comes when ordinary devotion has exceeded its limits and has become supreme devotion. So when Girish was born, his mother had become seriously ill. She developed what is called puerperal fever. No, that's a postpartum infection. Given all the unsanitary conditions, and there were hospitals, but then this was a common problem for mothers giving birth, and it was all over the place. It's not only in India. In Europe also, they had to fight so hard, ask doctors to wash their hands, and they weren't willing. And then they introduced carbolic acid because they said, you're spreading your diseases around. So, because she had puerperal fever, she could not nurse him. During that same time, a maid servant called Uma had also given birth to a child, and so she became his wet nurse. So even as a child, he was sensitive. He would quickly become angry. And if he perceived even a small injustice, he would throw a tantrum. But those tantrums never used to last long. He was naughty, he was obstinate, and if he was asked not to do a particular thing, he did that very particular thing. And he would not rest until that thing is not done. So later on he's saying, when they asked him about his quick temper, he's saying, yeah, I was breastfed by a maid servant. One time, his aunt had saw that there was a cucumber growing in the garden, and she earmarked it to be offered to the Lord, saying, keep it like. Girish saw that cucumber and said, I want to eat it. The aunt said, we can't do that. It's kept for the Lord. I'm going to. So he stopped drinking water in protest. And the whole day he went without water. And the evening when his father returned from the office, and they say, this boy is not drinking water. Then what does he want? He wants that cucumber. And he was unrelenting. It's very difficult to raise such a child, I tell you. You all know. So his father relented. His aunt was saying, no, you can't give that because it's already earmarked for the Lord. I think it's better to give him mother. I don't know what he's going to do next. So, and the boy is crying, I hope the Lord will be pleased. So you say, when a river is obstructed, the current becomes stronger and the water flows vigorously. Similarly, Girish's energy and enthusiasm grew boundless the moment it was obstructed. Anyone curbing his wishes had it bad. This willpower made him what he was. If he set his mind to one thing, like I said, you would see the very end of it. So one time his friend said, so it's very difficult to translate the witches' dialogues in Shakespeare's Macbeth, in Bengali. What? And immediately began translating that. And he translated the whole play. I'm saying if somebody says there's a ghost, they don't go, he would go there. He was fearless, independent, and proud of his strength. No one could pressure or intimidate him into beginning work or quitting once he started. So, and now he's remember, he's still a kindergarten boy. So he had been taken to the local primary school, and from there to the Oriental Seminary. And this is the place where even Swami, later Abhedananda, he also studied. He studied there for 2 years, and he left because, for obvious reasons, saying in those days, the teachers used to thrash the students. Spare the rod and spoil the child. That was the... So even Swami Vivekananda had got a nice lashing. So, and Girish had a, you can say, abundance of this thrashing. The teacher used to twist his ears and thrash him. And he says, Girish remarked, if those teachers would have made me understand a particular thing with love, then I would have learnt it quickly and a lot. But they were interested only in thrashing. So I gave it up. So after leaving Oriental Seminary, he entered into Hare School, where he studied again for 2 years. Then he went to the Hindu school, and finally to another school, which is nearby, Paikpara School. So when he was in these school years, when he was young, and that was the kind of tradition there, that the grandmothers would tell these long tales from the epics. It was more like, entertainment, and the children used to imbibe some of those ideals of these great heroic, you can say, warriors, etc. So he used to listen with rapt attention to his grandmother telling about the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and all the other mythology. And he had a very prodigious memory also. Even at the end of his life, he had memorized some of these, you can say, epics, parts of the epics, and he can speak about it. And that helped him in his writing. He had mastered the Bengali language also. And, he was saying, during those days, there was a kind of cultural transformation. People were kind of enamored with the English language because it gave you a kind of a step up, get a job or anything like that. So he saw, okay, if this is what it is, and he mastered the English language also. So one time, he said, I was young and I had seen another boy, British Englishman, he's saying, 8-year-old, more of the same age, trying to chase a jackal in the fields, which is now in Chitpur, one of the places which are still exist. But those jungles are not there anymore, they disappeared. And he says, Girish said, stop. Aren't you afraid of that jackal? He's saying, oh no, that jackal is afraid of me. That's why it's running away. And he said, oh, see, this is real education. And we teach our children all this mumbo jumbo and how to be weak, how to be soft, and how to be cringing and cringing and all these things. They will teach you only weakness. They will not teach you strength. That incident opened his eyes to, like, even his dealings later on with people. He never told people or taught people that they were weak, and people used to flock to him. He always taught them to see their own strengths. So we have, as you know, he was sensitive. He had a very soft heart. And one by one, he had to see some of the deaths in his family. His father died, his mother died, and then his sister, some of his sisters and brothers, one by one, and very close, he used to love them. And there was this anguish now. What is life and what is death? This kept on building up inside him. There's one incident where, when his father was alive, they were going to by a boat ride, and the boat was caught in the old country boats, more like a canoe, large canoe. It was caught in a kind of a small eddy, and it was turning, and then everybody was saying, "Oh, it's going to, drown. You're all going to drown." And Girish was young. He clung to his father's hand, and his father pushed his hand away. Later on, they were saved, of course. The father said, "Why did you cling to my hand to save yourself? Can't you save yourself? You know, ultimately, I'll try to save my own skin. But that is dear to me." This was an eye-opener, that he needed to find his own strength and stand on his own feet. So he was a voracious reader. And at times he used to lock himself in a room and read and read and read. And he became a frequent visitor to all the libraries, and he was a member of the Asiatic Society also there. Okay. So this was Girish. He started translating many English poems into Bengali, and thus he began enriching the Bengali literature itself. He was, as I say, he has mastered Bengali, and so his writings and all had great depth and great poetry, and as I say, great music. And it was, you can say, very attractive. Some of the plays that he used to write was in such beautiful language that he was slowly influencing the very language of the people of Bengali. So he had that impact on, you can say, literature and art. He also thoroughly studied science, and he was not one to just take a kind of nibble here and nibble there. When he wanted to study something, he plunged inside. And that was him. So we stop here. This is the first part. And I don't know, we have a whole book to go to. I'll take one of the salient aspects of his life, and you can see. Because this is a great life, and it will teach us something about ourselves. It's not only learning about Girish Ghosh or learning about Sri Ramakrishna, but we will learn something about ourselves. Because as I said, we also have some of that little Girish Ghosh in our lives also. So before you go to the questions, tomorrow is the retreat at Tapovan, Arlington, Snohomish County Center, 1 to 5. Tomorrow also is the birthday of Swami Akhandananda. He was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Tomorrow also the first day of the worship of the Divine Mother, Durga. So there are the 9 days that will begin from tomorrow. It's called Mahalaya. It's also a day when people they worship the ancestors and they give the offer. You can say food and etc. And tomorrow is also an eclipse, ring of fire. Sunday we have morning 10 a.m. reincarnation, fact or fiction. Well, we'll see what it is, whether it's fact or fiction. We also have Mother's Children at 9:50. That's the program for children here. And we have Ram Naam. So it's full. Okay. We have no questions here.
I have a quick question. Is this full book about Girish Ghosh?
Yes, the question, the book about Girish Ghosh. Yes, the book is about Girish Ghosh. This is the book.
There is so much.
Oh yeah. Huh. Yeah, interesting. Girish Chandra Ghosh, a Bohemian devotee of Sri Ramakrishna by Swami Satyamayananda. He has collected all the materials from everywhere and translated a great part of this book. So that's a portrait of a legendary playwright and actor, and introduction by Christopher Isherwood.
Are there some of those famous drama that he wrote?
Oh, his life was very deep and a lot of information. And fortunately, he did write, and he had a lot of friends who also wrote about him being famous. So there's a lot of material. In fact, this is nothing. This is just culled material from a larger source. So he was very famous during that time. So any more questions? So we can. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.